All right, here we go. Welcome to the Don't Pick the Scab podcast. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Ives T. Mukanya, a remarkable individual originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ives is currently the supervisor for quality assurance at Thermo Fisher Scientific and has an impressive background in the pharmaceutical industry. With a master's degree in mental health counseling, he's dedicated to helping men overcome their mental health challenges, focusing on issues like stress, depression, and low self-esteem. Join us as we explore how Ives' unique insights and experiences can empower our listeners to heal and embrace self-discovery and thrive after life challenges. So tell us about yourself, Ives, and we'll go from there. I got some questions for you.
Mm.
Welcome to the Don't Pick the Scab podcast with the premise of connecting men over 40 with the tools and community to thrive in their divorce recovery either before, during, or after a divorce.
All right. For starters, I am, as you say, I'm originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Came here when I was 19 to go to college. And right after college, I went to school for biology. And after college, I did some research and I decided to switch over to pharmaceutical. And it's been going pretty well. I have experience ever since I graduated, since 2006 until now. So I have a bunch of experience. I worked for company Sanofi. During the pandemic, I worked for Moderna. And now I am with Thermo Fisher. And I'm also a therapist. I went back to school for my master's degree in clinical counseling, and I became a therapist. And I work in the state of Rhode Island. And on top of that, I'm also a transformational coach. So I also help people outside of Rhode Island who want to work with me on a coaching basis. I'm also a transformational coach and also run my own podcast, Rising and Thriving.
Busy man. I thought that was busy. What are some of the most common emotional challenges that men face after divorce, and how can they start to address them?
The way I'm going to speak about it is from my own experience. Is I think for what I see a lot of men, they love to suffer in silence, right? So the emotional part thinks they tend to internalize it and not let it go. So for me, what I decided early on was to seek help because it's very difficult, even with the men that I help, that I work with, going through a divorce or even difficult time. It's very difficult for them to come and say, you know what, I need help in this. Women are very easy. Like they will tell you what it is that's bothering them, and they're very proactive on this. But men, it's very difficult, right? So it takes a lot for a man to come and sit down and admit that they have a problem. So even when somebody and when you talk about divorce, is also attached to the sense of pride, right? You know what? This is what I created. There's something I created. I created my family, my energy, my attention, my focus was on making sure that this family is well taken care of. So everything about you goes into it. So when that doesn't work out, instead of an internal and looking at it as if, you know what, it's something that happened. It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. Yes, but that's something that happened. A lot of men look at it as if I am the failure. I failed. I am the failure. And that's where I think that's a big part where that's pretty much where they have a difficulty kind of detaching themselves from the situation. And when they're only looking at it from the perspective of they are the failure, and that's when the problems start to come. So emotionally, I think the first thing that I say for everybody, seek help. And I know that for a lot of men, it's very difficult to put themselves down or to admit that there's a problem. Because for a lot of men, I'm the problem solver, right? I'm not supposed to have problem. I'm not supposed to have trouble. I'm supposed to dominate my environment and figure it out. But sometimes figure it out means that, you know what, I have to stop and ask somebody else how he did it. Sometimes it also means, you know what, hey, you know what, you professional here, let me sit with you and unload this excess of emotion and negativity and anger that I have. So to me, it's the first step is seek help. All right, get to the point where you seek help and see how it goes.
What about the F word, forgiveness? What part does that play? That was so tough for me. That was tough for men. And it's easy to say forgiveness is for you,
Mhm.
but to let go of the pain that someone caused you is so hard sometimes. But I'm here to tell you, once you let it go, man, it is exhilarating,
It
but
does.
it's
It
hard
is.
to let it go. Speak to
It is.
that for me.
It is very hard. All right. You have to me, it's like a lot of people say, yeah, the forgiveness is not for you. It's not for the other person. It's for you. It's for to liberate you from all this. Yeah, it's easier said than done. All right. For me, I felt the way I approached it when I went through my divorce and I wanted to break off from the anger and everything. The way I said it is like forgiveness is also not something that's going to happen today. It's a constant process. It happen like, you have to work on it every single day.
Yep.
I'm still working on it today. Even if I've been divorced for 7 years, I'm still working on it today.
Okay.
Every day, every single day when I wake up, you know what? I forgive. It's it, it just became such a ritual so that so that I'm not like I'm not held by the past, my past, or anything that happened before, and
Correct.
even the future action comes when they comes and she does something that we probably don't see eye to eye about a certain situation. We don't think, or we don't speak a certain, like we don't communicate it the right way. Instead of being pissed off at the person, you know what? I've already let that go. This person, because you work on it often every day, that person doesn't have control over you. And I always tell the people that counsel is you have to be able to get to a position where you are the one controlling yourself, right? Because if someone has control over what you think, how you feel, and how you behave, basically that person control every part of your life. Because whatever this person is gonna do, is gonna basically can change how you think, behave, and then that person really commend you. She has total control of your life. So what you have to do, what forgiveness does, at least what he did for me, is switching that control back to me so that what the other person's going to do doesn't affect me somehow. Yes, it can affect me. I can have strong feeling about it. I can still control the other area, my thoughts and my behavior, right? So that what I do and how I want to show up is not depending on somebody else's reaction or what somebody else has done or said. And to me, that's what forgiveness has done and working with forgiveness has done. All right. As I said, it's a process. And for myself, it's a process that I work on every single day.
It's almost like you give yourself control back
Mm.
in order to proceed from your recovery.
Yes.
So men, because we're men,
Mm.
divorce takes a toll on our self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
How can a man reverse that and rebuild that self-esteem? Because it takes a hit.
Yes, it does take a hit. As I said, you put everything on you. Now you're looking at it, you know what? I'm a failure. That's a hit on your self esteem.
Yep.
You also look at everybody else around you, like basically the circle of friends that you created when you were married. Some of them you don't even have access to them, right? Because those are the friends that you had when you were married. When you're not married, you completely cut off from that circle of friends or that support system, right? So to me, self esteem start by remembering or going back to what you used to be, not to recreate that person, right? But just to note, to reconnect with the things that made you, the things that made you happy. So you have aptitude, you have gifts and stuff like that. Because when you're married, all your gifts and ideas all focus on the family unit. But before that, your focus and energy and gifts were spread out. Like you can apply it to here, you can apply it to there, you can apply it to, and that gave you satisfaction. And you were getting feedback from all those different places, and that helped your self-esteem. So going back to that place, where you have control of that. First of all, you have control of your emotion. And now you're going back to the place where, you know what? Those are the things that I used to do, right? Those are the things that I used to love, okay? Or get into new things that you did not know that you were doing before. For instance, for me, I got into motorcycling, and that was the best thing ever, right? Because those are new. That was something new that I always wanted to do. And once I got into it, that kind of reconnected me to that all my past desire of wanting to be free. And my self-esteem grew from there because I was getting feedback, created new circle of friends, and that also gave me feedback. So now also getting to, I think personally, I did a lot of new things, right? Anything that I could think about, I tried. Some did not work out, but some did. But I wanted to get back to the place where I enjoy life to the fullest. And I wanted to reconnect with that person that I know I was, right? That person and then that person that back then that I was before marriage. And because when you're married, you change yourself to adapt to this person that you chose, and which is normal, right? Because everything, your reaction, the way you think, the way you approach life, even the way you look at life, now is in line with what the other person that you're with is, or your wife, your partner, right? So now it's okay. Now you by yourself. Where's that feedback is going to come from? Is you creating this new environment where you're free to try things, you're free to look at things from your own perspective, and you're getting feedback from the people for this new environment that kind of boosts your self-esteem as well. And also the part where, you know what, decide just to be, if you have kids, decide to be the best dad that you can be. All right.
For sure.
All right. So I think that's where you get the most, at least for me, that's where I get the most boost. And the thing is, a lot of people confuse being the best dad that you can be is not the one competing with mom, right? Mom is going to do what she has to do. But understanding your role as a man and how you approach parenting as well is important. So it's not about competing with what mom has done. If mom bought, I don't know, an iPad to the children, you wanted to buy 2 iPads to show that, you know what, I love you more. No, that doesn't work.
It's not going to work.
No, that's not work. Show yourself. My goal was, I want my children to know who I am. I want to show them the person that I truly am. And that person, when I was married, I wasn't that person. But when I came out, when I divorced, the decision was to become that person. And I wanted to show this person to my children. And I wanted to be the type of father that they can be proud of. And that's how I decided to go back in this journey of transformation, changing completely who I was, reconnecting with things, understanding my values, creating new relationships, trying new different things so that I could understand who I truly was and understand my purpose. And so that I can show that to my kids. And you know what? Even if mom and dad didn't work out, but dad turned out to be the person I'm very proud of. And that's my goal. That's what I've been working towards. I'm not here I'm not trying to compete with their mom, because that's a losing battle.
Yep.
What she can do for them is totally different than what I can do for me, what I can do for them. So figuring out exactly what you can do for your kids as a man is very important. So once you started doing that, start approaching things from that perspective, I think your self-esteem is also going to get a big boost.
Tell you a story real quick to build the depart here. My ex did not like me to eat Italian food because it came through my pores and it messed up with my chemistry or something. So while we were married, I didn't eat Italian food. But man, when I got divorced, I had Italian food almost every day. So, I can identify with trying new stuff and old stuff,
Mhm.
especially something she didn't like. I
Mhm.
even had a little bit of a caveat to it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, how can men gain their identity? I went from being a divorcee to being single. How do you make that transformation? You talk about transformation. How do you get that transformation? Because we become divorcee for a long time sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's the thing. Some people get stuck there. And to me, when someone gets stuck there, it just shows me that they don't have a sense of direction. You have to decide what it is that you want to see, right? You have to understand that everything starts with you. And even when I work with my client, that's my message. You have the power to change. You have the power to completely turn your life around, but it has to start with you, right? So for me, the identity that I wanted to have, like the things that I wanted to create, I decided it. I had to sit down and it's like, okay, what is it that I want to see? What is it? How do I want my life to look like? And I started drawing it. I started writing things. And it's not that I have a complete plan, like very clear plan, but I had a schematic or something to follow. Because I always said, I can give you a GPS today, GPS receiver today. It's going to be useless to you. It's not, it become something that you can use once you put the address and automatically the GPS gives you the direction, the way to get there. Right. So if you have the GPS in your hand and you haven't put any kind of direction, guess what? You're going to drive aimlessly. You're going to get lost. You're going to stop at places where you're not supposed to stop, and you're going to make mistakes on on the way until you decide to put the direction. This is what I want to see. This is the person I want to become. This is the type of father that I want to become. So you look at every single aspect of your life and you decide what it is that you want to see. And once you have that image in your mind or something written down or something like that, now you go back. You say, okay, let me work. Okay, I'm here. How do I get there? And then you start figuring out the direction and you try different things. Okay, I can try this. If it doesn't work out, I'll try that. If it doesn't work, I try this. But as you're working towards that, towards your direction, towards your goal, your identity started to change because you're getting more new information that you never had. Because in order to change, you have to get something new, right? New information causes you to change. And as you're working towards, that's how your identity started changing. And that's what I'll say, always talk about my own experience. That's what happened to me. I decided what I wanted to do. I decided what the things that I wanted to create and the things that I wanted to see, and came up with different action plan and follow through. Just follow. Some didn't work out and some did. And that's what got me to this point today, sitting with you and talking about this thing.
Even the ones that didn't work out probably got you here.
Yeah, those are the lessons. Those are the lessons. If it worked, perfect. If it doesn't work out, you get the lesson and you keep moving forward. But you have to make the decision. If you don't decide on anything, you're going to stay stuck where you are.
Yeah. A couple of episodes ago, I was talking to a therapist, and he was talking about the Jack in the Box
Mm,
effect. So what that is, like, I had my kids like for a week, and it was go on, and then
mhm,
they were gone for a week. So I would get back in the Jack in the Box and close the lid and like hibernate for a week until they came back, and then
mm.
the Jack in the Box comes out. How can men fight that? How can they stay active or be centered or try not to get into that Jack in the Box mode when the kids
And
are
that
gone?
can box well, I'll still say it's deciding on a vision, right? Because the Jack in the Box effect only happened when you don't have nothing else to do. Your life is
Yeah.
totally attached to, basically, your life is always attached to what your past, right? It's okay, I'll be this person because that's the person that I used to be. When the kids come back, that person comes out, right? But when the kids are not there, I just put it back in the box and wait for them to come out again. That shows me that you don't have any sense of direction. You haven't decided yet where you want it to go. So the thing is, yeah, you have the kids, of course, but after that, what's your life after that? Who do you want to be? So work on your life after that. Work on your life outside of that. And you see your relationship with them will be enriched just because you try different things. And the person that's going to show up every week, they will see that. Oh yeah, you were different. You're different than last week, or you're different than a month ago. You know what? You're happier, or you know what? It's easier to talk to you. Yes, because you try different things and you become happier in your own skin. So once you reconnect to that, you could reconnect to who you truly are and decide on how you want to do. It's easier now to get into that and then kill that jack in the box effect.
How can men keep a healthy co-parent relationship even when it's antagonist? It's just, yeah, crazy. How can men overcome that? And because you talked about being the best father you can be, which I love, because that was my thing, being the best father I could be when I had him. How do they control that? Because sometimes you want to lash out, things like that, especially when the co-parenting. I tell people we co-parented separately, basically.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what we did, but we got through it.
Some people have a good co-parenting relationship.
Yeah.
Like they can go to, because I know a friend of mine, he can go to his ex-wife's house just because he has the kids. He can go see the kids whenever he wants to. So they have,
Wow.
yeah, like I was like, man, you got to teach me what you did because
Or
you,
or maybe not.
oh, maybe not. Yeah, it's like, because I don't know what you did, but it's good, right?
Yeah.
It was still constant. Everybody else were doing their lives, but he can easily go to his ex-wife house, get the kids, see the kids whenever there was a problem. She calls him and he goes. Going back to that, there's like, okay, so co-parents. But for other people who don't have that kind of relationship and it's a bit challenging, you have first to understand that you cannot control the other person.
Word.
You can't. When you were married, it never worked out. You could never control her. When you're divorced, it's not going to be easier. All right. The only person that you can control is you. So you start by controlling your emotions, controlling your thoughts, and controlling your behavior. So once you have that, and then that part, and we talked about that part of forgiveness, work on it all the time. So for my part, when things like that happen and I saw that co-parenting would be challenging, I just decided to focus on me. How do I want to react? In every other situation, how do I want to show up? Do I want to show up as this raging person or being always controlled by anger? No. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. Right? It took time to even get to a point where I can talk about it like, very casually this way. Right? Back he used to create very strong emotions, but at the end, you have to understand to ask yourself, who do you want to control you? Do you want the other person or your ex to still control you? Or do you want you to control yourself and your behavior and everything?
Yep.
So once you understand that, once you put yourself into that position and create a system of communication. Because for some people, talking to the ex works. For some people, not talking is the best way. So basically, we can communicate through emails, we can communicate to this, right? But we have certain plan in place, right? System in place that can allow us to parent and work through those situations easily than if we were just face to face and trying to figure things out that way. So figuring out, you can first control. Where do you want the control to be? You want the control to be on the other hand, or do you want the control to be on your hand? That's the first thing. Second, forgiveness. because forgiveness allows you to get that control back towards yourself, right? And then after that, what kind of system do you want to put in place so that communication between the two of you goes seamlessly?
Work.
So I think those are, for me, those three things. Once you put them into place, is a starting point, and then the rest is just about tweaking things. All right, but work on controlling you. Work on getting back that control. Work on understanding that, you know what, I have to be the one controlling my own emotion, my own thoughts, and my own reaction. Once you do that, things, I'm not gonna say becomes easy, but become easier to handle in certain situations and certain things that your ex is gonna do. You might be able to roll it off your shoulder. You know what? I can't control what she said. I can control what she does. I can control her emotion. I don't know what she has done because we don't live together anymore. I don't know where that anger is coming from. But I'm not gonna be here sitting here being the punching ball and then critique that. No. You know what? What you live is what you live. What I live is what I live. So once you react this way, okay, fine. I'll just go on my corner, work on my emotion, work on my things, control myself, and decide what kind of person I want to show to be, who I, how do I want to show up. So once you decide on that, you understand that
Go from there.
control is back into your hands.
Yep. Let's talk about the basic atom. I'm going to go deep on you here. Basic atom of divorce. Self-care. A lot of men they neglect themselves. And my deal is you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. Kind of like when the plane's going down, you put your mask on first and then you put your kids on. You're no good to your kids if you're passed out. So speak to that for me.
Self-care is a big thing. All right. It's also self-care. People think it's just, oh yeah, self-care is me doing this. And no, to me, it's also an act, you showing yourself that, you know what, I still love me. All right. I'm able to put myself first from time to time. All right. So once you do those things, and for a lot of men, I think, and I'm going to talk about my own experience, right, for a little bit, because once I divorced, I had a lot of anger, and I have a lot of anger. I had
Yep.
shame, a lot of shame, right? Because I was like, you know what? I fail. I'm the failure. So anger, shame, all those things, they are they are energies. But energies that you want to store into your body. Once you store those type of energy into your body, what does your body does? Your body reacts to it and start showing people what you're really thinking about yourself. So without any type of self-care, I can see a man walking around just by the way you walk. People can tell, you know what, this person doesn't think too much of himself. This person feel like a failure. This person has something going on in his mind, right? Because you let those energy fester into yourself. How did personally, how did I do it? What did I do to get it out? First of all, the gym.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you, I started going to the gym. I made the decision with myself that I want to develop a workout routine, and I'll be at the gym 4 times a week. And for 7 years, I've done that, except for a year and a half where I had to I had to go back to for my master's. But right after that, I went back, and I never stopped. And then also this thing about remember we talked about creating the identity, self-esteem, and all
Yep.
that stuff, right? Men, we have a solid connection with our physique because we're physical, right? So when you go to the gym, like you jump rope and today you do 5, tomorrow you do 10, the next day you do 15, you're like, you know what? I'm getting stronger. That's a little boost of energy. And that's also self-care. For me, the biggest self-care was the gym. Like my physical health became my priority. I put a lot of energy into it. And that helped me deal with anger. That helped me deal with all that extra energy that I had. Because once I completely depleted my body, I didn't have the time or energy to even think about what this happened or that happened. Or I was mad about this. No, I was just tired. I want to have a good night. That's it. And the more you disconnect from the things that create those strong emotions into your body, create those strong emotions into your mind, into yourself, the less effect that they have on you, right? It's the more distance you create. So the fact that you go into the gym, like you're depleting yourself and then you don't even have time to even think about it, then, it's easier now
Gotcha.
to deal with them. All right. So for me, physical activity played a big role. And I got into judo, I got into jujitsu, right? Because those things, like physical contact sport, what they do is you're fighting somebody, right? People think that, oh yeah, it's all a fight. No, it's also mental, right? Okay, this is my opponent. We fighting, we are in the just and stuff like that. And then we judo, boom, I get put on the floor. But the way I'm looking at it is, you know what, man, I could do better next time. And then you stand up again. Let's go. Boom, stand up again. Let's go. So what does that teach you? Anger has no place in that. It teaches you how to to control your anger. So now you're not directed by anger, but it's more your mind thinking, what kind of strategy can I put in? Because I want to win this. How can I approach this person? What can I approach my other opponent? And those are part of self-care too. Because I'm creating this distance within the situation, and also I'm learning how to control my anger through physical education, to interaction with somebody else.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh no, it does. It does. My men have about a 30-minute attention span, kind of like me. But tell the people out there where to find you on the internet, and I'm going to have your contact stuff on the show notes. But go ahead and
Okay,
tell them.
so you can find me I have my website, www.eves, yeah, it's for Eves, YVESTMUKANYA.com. I'm also you can find me on LinkedIn as well. My first and last name, YVES Mukanya. And I'm also on social media like Instagram. I'm your neighborhood therapist, and where I drop some videos about the things that I say and a few things that I do there. And I also have my podcast that you can find on everywhere that you get your podcast from.
His new baby.
Yes, that's definitely my new baby. I have a lot of fun doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I have
Yeah.
a lot of fun doing this. Right?
All right, sir. Hold on the phone here. We're going to sign out, but stay on there. I appreciate your time, and thank
Okay,
you very much.
no problem.